one of the best-known people on the planet, a spiritual leader.
Many problem is our own creation. We forget oneness of humanity.
A Nobel Prize winner who's won the support of politicians the world over. But the Dalai Lama has long been a thorn in China's side.
Nobody say Dalai Lama of China. Everywhere say Dalai Lama of Tibet.
After China sent troops into Tibet, he fled to India. Ever since, he's lived in the shadows of the Himalayas, close to the town of Dharamshala in Himachal Pradesh. As the Dalai Lama approaches his 84th birthday, has he given up all hope of returning home? And is China's influence overshadowing his own? Thank you very much for joining us here on BBC News. Everybody looks to you for guidance and answers. So what's the secret to a long life? You're about to turn 84.
I had peace of mind.
Peace of mind.
That really makes differences. And also, you say, health. And then I think the realistic attitude is also very important. The things, like you see, this body, some sort of illness, just part of the nature. No use complain. So similarly, in the society, some problems, no use to complain, except that reality, no problem.
In the past, the Chinese government haven't been very kind about you. They've called you a demon. If they use language like that, is there any hope that a meeting could ever be constructive?
Yes, one Chinese official described me as a demon. So then when I first heard that, my response is, yes, I'm demon with horn. This is nothing. For me, nothing. Actually, I feel pity, their ignorance, and their political sort of thinking, very narrow-minded.
Have you given up the hope of returning?
No. Tibetan people very much sort of trust me. So they are very, very eager.
So how would that happen, Your Holiness?
Now, China is changing. Now, last few years, I have some contact, some Chinese, even some officials.
So you have had contact in the last few years with Chinese officials?
Entirely, privately. Number of Chinese retired officials and some scholars, you see, who have some connection with the Chinese government.
Has President Xi ever asked you for a meeting?
Not yet.
There have been occasions where world leaders have met you and then China's got angry. For example, when David Cameron met you, and it led to bad relations between the UK and China. Do you think China's growing influence is having an impact on your own influence and the cause of Tibet?
I don't care. No. I think the Chinese seems themselves is changing their attitude.
You once said that you would be interested in meeting President Trump. Has he ever asked you for a meeting?
No.
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 Isn't that surprising, given that so many US presidents used to jump at the chance to meet you? I know you're friends with George W. Bush, you've met Barack Obama, you've met other presidents. Has Donald Trump snubbed you?
Frankly speaking, you see, his emotion also a little bit too complicated.
What do you mean by that? What do you think of him in office?
One day he says something, another day he says something, but I think lack of moral principle. When he became president, he expressed America first. That is wrong. America, you see, should take the global responsibility. And then the climate condition, environment issue, very important. He withdrew from Paris Accord. I think that's wrong. America, industrialized nation, should think seriously about protection of environment. And then I think now the Mexican, when I saw picture some of these young children, very sad. So America, as a leading nation of free country, I think should carry some compassion, moral principle. I feel.
And you don't think President Trump
Seems to be lacking.
One thing that is difficult to sort out at the moment, Your Holiness, is the situation with Brexit back in the UK. The two sides just cannot come to any agreement.
I don't know detail, but overall, I am one admirer of spirit of European Union.
So you're anti-Brexit then?
I feel after Second World War, is it the key sort of the state, France and Germany, First World War, arch enemy, Second World War, arch enemy. I feel because the European Union developed, so at least those member states last few decades peaceful. If European Union not developed, then last few decades, I think some fight within the member state. I'm outsider, but I feel better remain in the Union.
The campaign to leave the European Union used one of your quotes in their posters. It said, the goal should be that migrants return and help rebuild their countries. You have to be practical. It's impossible for everyone to come. And that was used in a poster by the Leave campaign. What did you make of that?
When you see number of people from Africa go to Europe, at that time, you say, I express Europe for Europeans. The European country should take these refugees and give them education and training, and then aiming is return to their own land with certain skill. And then European countries also have the moral responsibility to rebuild their own country. European people, so better keep Europe for Europeans. But meantime, take these refugees and help maximum way. And the aim is to rebuild their own area, their own country. I feel that.
Some people say in the spirit of immigration, saying something like Europe for Europeans isn't a welcoming statement to make in this current era, where there's so many, 70 million people displaced at the moment in the world.
Now, refugee problem, really sad thing. Many people leave their own country, and most of these poor people now in Middle East, really very sad. And Yemen, and Syria, Afghanistan. I think we human beings, I think a lot of suffering, essentially our own creation.
And if these people from Afghanistan or the Middle East want to stay in Europe, shouldn't they be allowed to?
Limited number, okay. But whole Europe eventually become Muslim country, impossible. Or African country, also impossible.
There's nothing wrong with that, is there? I mean, you're a refugee yourself.
They themselves, I think, better to their own land, climatically. Much better. Europe too cold.
My parents moved from India to the UK. That's now their home. That's okay too, isn't it? if Indians or anyone else wants to live in Europe?
I think England, the small island, 90% become Indian. Then I don't know.
Your Holiness, a lot of people blame politicians for these divisions. Do you?
We can't blame the individual politicians. They also come from a society. Talks only material value and power, money. So these individuals come from that kind of society, and we can't blame. These individuals cannot change. Even the United Nations cannot change. So basic education system should think more seriously how to educate people more, more complete form, material value and human value. As one person totally committed promotion of religious harmony. So we must respect different religious tradition. We should make distinction, faith and respect. Faith, your own tradition. I am Buddhist. My faith towards Buddhism. But I equally respect all these major religious traditions.
A lot of people around the world look to you for spiritual guidance and leadership. They also want to know what happens with your succession.
That's not my business, not my concern. I think as early as 1969, one of my formal statement, official statement, I mentioned I'm not much concerned about Dalai Lama Institution. So future of Dalai Lama Institution is up to Tibetan people. They will decide.
Are you saying that you're going to be the last Dalai Lama?
Okay, no problem. So long, student who study and practice their Buddha Dharma will remain.
And China also wants to pick its own successor to you.
Yes, you see, it seems now China more concerned about 15th Dalai Lama than me. That's extra burden.
So if you don't find a successor, China could just step in and replace you with someone of their choice. I mean, wouldn't that concern you?
I think nobody say Dalai Lama of China. All everywhere say Dalai Lama of Tibet.
You once said that you would be open to a female successor.
That's also possible.
You also told one of my colleagues that that female must be attractive, otherwise it's not much use.
Okay, yes.
Can you see why that comment upset a lot of women?
That's one time. If female Dalai Lama comes, and it should be more attractive. If female Dalai Lama, oh God, that people, I think, prefer not see that face.
Can you see why a lot of women, though, found that quite offensive when you said it?
So one Indian, you see, because of some complaint about my my expression. But okay, I think they themselves, I think if there's opportunity to ask whether they spend some money for makeup, I think they must do something.
A lot of women would say that's objectifying women, and it's about who you are inside, isn't it?
Yes, I think both. Real beauty is inner beauty. That's true. But we human beings, I think the appearance is also important.
And so do you believe that women now in today's society should be treated equally when it comes to opportunities and also pay? Because women get paid a lot less than men, for example, for doing the same job.
It should be equal. Should be equal. I think Buddha, as a Buddhist, is a Buddha firstly totally reject caste system. Then also you see Buddha treated equally male and female.
A lot of people say this world today is far less tolerant than it used to be.
Yes.
What would you say to people who are looking for answers?
Many problem is our own creation. You see, we forget oneness of humanity. One world forget. Just small, my country, my religious faith. Too much emphasis that. Good. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time,
Thank
Your
you.
Holiness.